Okay, thank you. Hey, everybody, welcome, welcome. It's Team Up Monday Night Live. It's so good to see so many of you tonight. And it's been an exciting weekend. I don't know how many of you attended the Pajama Regional this past weekend, but I have to tell you that it was the best $25 I have ever spent in terms of growing my business. And why can I boldly say that? Because what I'm hearing from all of you, not only did it inspire you, motivate you, but it literally ignited something in you. There's been so much activity since the Pajama Regional. So it has, I mean, it was a big 5 out of 5. It was spectacular. So we're going to do a bit of a recap in the next 25 minutes. About the Pajama Regional, and I'm going to save like the last maybe 5 or 10 minutes to talk to you about a pretty powerful national marketing director call that we had today, and with some insight that I think is really going to create a lot of excitement. So tonight we're going to start with Tommy Newberry. And so coming to us tonight from the Tribe organization is Ann Kennedy. Ann is one of our newest QSSCs. She's from, is it Belton, Texas, Ann? Is it Belton that you're from? You need to maybe unmute yourself.
Yep, that's right. That's where I'm from.
And look at her, how cute she is. And there's the Tribe earrings hanging right there, more great jewelry. So, Ann, it's a pleasure to have you. You're a wife, mom, Chick-fil-A owner, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You're busy, and yet you get up every morning and you rise up and you represent Juice Plus. And I know that you attended the Pajama Regional, and Tommy Newberry kind of spoke to your heart. What was it about what he did and what he said that inspired you? I'm going to let you kick it off.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I'm excited. I really did like Tommy Newberry. His talk was based on his book, Success is Not an Accident. And the big main quote that he kicked off with, and I think actually some other national marketing directors kicked off with, was, you need to succeed on purpose. And I really like that concept because it is about intentionality. And so Tommy Newberry is known as America's success coach, and he started his career in 1991, just for a little background. But one other quote that he said was, your success blesses others. It has a ripple effect. When you do well, it positions you to do good. And I love that, because sometimes we think it's the selfish desire to want to be successful, right? But actually you can pay it forward. And I think everyone that I've seen in this company definitely has that attitude. So it's beautiful. But sometimes we just drift into just okay. We're satisfied with, well, we're doing okay. Or just like those commercials, where they're at the guy, the tattoo artist, and he said, maybe you should like draw it on me first. And he's like, stay in your lane, bro. You're like, and then it says, it's just okay. It's not okay, right? So we need to set some intention and a commitment to getting better. He had 3 points that I really liked. And I want you to think about it as like being intentional with your life, being intentional with your week, and then being intentional with your morning. So the first one is think back from the future. So you're going to climb up to a mountaintop and you want to look down. And naturally we do that. Like we kind of judge where we're going and we look down on the steps it's going to take on the easy things in life. But actually we can implement that on the hard things in life, and we should. He told a story about climbing to the top of Stone Mountain with his kids, and he kept asking 3 questions of them. And initially when he asked them, they were kind of like, they weren't really quick to respond because they didn't really know. And then as they kept climbing the mountain, they got more in touch with and on the same page with what the goal was. So the questions are, what's our goal? And the goal to that mountain for their hike was to the top. And they said, how do we get there? And it was 1 step at a time. What's our reward? And he said, there's a Slurpee machine at the top of that mountain. I'll buy you a Slurpee if we get to the top. So our reward doesn't always look like a Slurpee machine, but sometimes it's just the view, or it's actually the accomplishment that we've set out to do. So I think those questions are good. And that's kind of the process that we can set up for ourselves, is what's our goal for our life? How do we get there? And then what's the reward? So trust that process, and we can apply that to big decisions and big things and to little things too. And we want to think about our dreams as being big, like huge dreams, because actually when you set small goals and small dreams for yourself, you really kind of do yourself a disservice, because your brain, if you can set a goal that is big, like impossible to achieve, you actually expand the mental boundaries in your mind. And so huge attracts huge, right? Small attracts small. So if we can think on bigger things, you have the opportunity to accomplish a lot more along the way. And he talked about being a dream builder. And if you have those huge goals, it's important to share those with people. And it's important to find those dream builders who can say to you, I can totally see you doing that. And I sure want to be a dream builder. I don't want to be a dream killer. So I like that. So what is the single one-year goal, when achieved, could create the greatest positive ripple effect throughout your life? That's something to think about. What's a single one-year goal that, when achieved, would create the greatest positive ripple effect? So let's gain some clarity. What do you want? Why do you want it? How are you going to get it? And then you can think about, do I have the clarity I need to grow in the direction and the pace that I desire? And so that's about being intentional with your life, gaining clarity, trusting the process, and setting huge goals. And then the second point was thinking about your week. How do we stay on track with our goals? And actually, you have 10,080 hours in a given week. That's a lot of hours. So how many of these hours do we use to move toward our mountain? And sometimes when you're thinking about it in chunks of a week, those are 7 repeats of the same kind of day. You're planning out your day, and like the Blue Angels, let's say there's a show that they are doing, and actually after every rehearsal and every show, they debrief. So feedback is a huge part of this whole process. You want constant feedback. And so they ask themselves, what went well, what didn't go well, and what can we change next week? And that's actually something that we could put into place. And they encourage us really to find a day of the week to look back, or to pause and see, is the momentum that I'm going, is it carrying me in the wrong direction? And he says, don't really worry about mistakes, just worry about repeating them the same ones over and over again. So if you can take a focus on that week and kind of chunk your time, then you're actually able to probably gain some more time if you can sit down and look back at the week and say, what did I do wrong? What can I do better? And move forward. So maybe even picking a day of the week, like a Friday evening or a Sunday morning or evening or Monday morning, so that you can kind of debrief yourself from the week. I think that'd be really super helpful, so that you can gain some continued momentum to get better. And this third point was the best part of waking up. So we talked about being intentional with our life, our week, and now it's our morning. Man, this was a huge one for me, because morning is not my favorite time of day. And so we want to wake up and be intentional with the morning. Sorry, I got to charge my phone. He used an acronym, and it was EMSR, and that stands for Early Morning Success Ritual. And he said he's worked with some CEOs, and he's called it like $100,000 habit, $1 million habit. Just setting a routine every single morning. And most people waste their morning. I know that I do a lot of times, especially during this time when my kids are still home, and it's just like, just give me every ounce, every minute of sleep I can get. But even if it's only 15 minutes, if you set aside 15 extra minutes in the morning before you even start to kind of get grounded for the day, it'll give you like an hour and 45 minutes extra a week. So think about what you could do with that time. And if you do that between now and next year, you'll have like 290 hours. So it's pretty awesome. So some of the things that you can do in that time are read. Positive mental nutrition, that's what he called it, PMN. So you want to feed your mind healthy things. You can visualize and meditate. He said you can watch funny videos, listen to pump up music, read the Bible, do your devotion, exercise, itemize your blessings. I know Terry talks about that a lot, the attitude of gratitude, and saying some things back to yourself about things that you know are true. Review your goals. and pray. You pray before your goals, during your goals, and after you've accomplished them, because it's powerful, and that's another way to be intentional. And so he said, after that EMSR time, however much time you can set aside from that, from 15 minutes to 2 hours, to just frame your day and get it set up right. He said, then you want to eat that frog. And I remember that book. I read it a few years ago by Ryan Tracy about you eat that frog. Get the most challenging, hardest thing that you can imagine over with right after your EMSR time. And then you feel so productive. You've already accomplished so much just right out of the gate. So I liked thinking about it that way, just getting that over with. So what's your process for optimizing each morning? What practices do you have in place, or what are some things maybe that you can add in? So we want to be intentional with our life, our week, and our morning. And if you wanted some more accountability and some more training and attention to this, he had this program online called superfocusprogram.com. And he shared that with all of us if we wanted to get involved. So do you want to just be okay, or how about we go for awesome? So that's what I took away.
Well, I think you could actually create your own program around that, and that was incredible. Or let me ask you. Okay, so Tommy Newberry asks the question: what is the single 1-year goal that would dramatically change your life? What was the end of that? Is that how that question goes?
Yeah, he said, what is the single 1-year goal that, when achieved, would create the greatest positive ripple effect throughout your life?
So, and what would be that for you?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I'm growing a lot personally, overcoming some things with Brave Leaders training, the arena questions and that kind of thing. So I think accomplishing some of those things that have kind of held me back, getting in my own way. So
all right,
that would be.
And I know you're working on that. I know you're working on that. Thank you for joining the Team Up call tonight. Now, we got some stuff going down that you're going to be interested in doing and participating in. So we're going to share that here in a minute. So next up to bat is, yes, there's your upline, Stephanie Fletcher. Yes, she is doing awesome. Absolutely. Okay, next up to bat is Camelia Parker from Old Lyme, Connecticut. Camelia, I know that you and several other distributors are on the same Boxer chat, and it was going off like all Friday night. I had to shut it off because it was ding, ding, ding. And then Saturdays, ding, 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 ding. Okay.
Ding.
There was someone that really inspired you. Who was that? What would you like to share?
Oh, they all inspired me. So I have to tell you, I don't sit still. You know that. And I sat all Friday. I sat all Saturday. I didn't want to leave my seat. They didn't give us a break in the afternoon, and I refused to they made me laugh. They made me cry. And I felt like they had walked in my shoes before. And at some point, they've been in my shoes, or I've been in theirs, but they, as leaders, were showing us how to walk through this. And the transparency from all of them, it blew me away. And you know that they're always going to be there for you. So I felt like we were all holding hands. But Chandria Singleton, DMO, her energy was absolutely contagious. And I don't know if you remember, she started in 1999, took it for a while, and then stopped. She came back in 2019, and she came back and just took the discount, and did everything and did the shred. And it took off from there. I mean, it's 2019 and she's already, been advancing in 2020, but she said that there were 5 steps that we needed. And one was the power of a well-planned 3-way. So I'm going to be very transparent because I planned them, but I planned them far and few between. Consistency. And that does not mean being consistently inconsistent. It means being consistent with intention. The DMO, it's on the Freedom Revolution. You look under A to Z. We started it this week. I used to shun from the DMO, and I'll tell you why later. but also how to get an audience to events, that there's all different ways. And I know that we're in different times than when she was doing this, but there was one person at the very end who mentioned something, but I'll let you know other ways we can do this. And how did she do it? How did she do it? So one thing she said was she watched the compensation video over and over again until she could not understand it, but until she could talk to people about it. So I want you to know that I did that on Sunday. I watched it 2 or 3 times so that getting people through to SC, I know what the price is. I know what the bonuses are. I can talk to them and I actually understand it, which is a little scary because me and numbers. So watching that over and over, get on your upline's calendar, the memory jogger with a specific number of people. So take your team, give them 10 people. I want 10 people this week. I want you to have 5 people that you talk to this, tomorrow. Get another 30 people onto there and put it in chunks that are doable, not the ones that are huge and scary. And have a strong product and business story and do this with your upline. And she said, if you don't know why you are talking and doing the business, then you are selling and not sharing. So to me, that made a lot of sense because we all say we don't want to sell products, but well, then get to know it well enough that you're sharing. And I'll give you an example of how I did that today. But with the 3 ways, how do you conquer that fear to do them? But you get as much info that they want to know. You get it to your that the people are asking for, you get it to your upline, you introduce them and you mute yourself and you do not unmute that phone. You leave it and every time you want to go, yeah, but, or wait, tell her about, you just don't do it. You just mute it and you take notes. Events, I loved what they were doing and I wish we could do that here in Connecticut right now. They pick a time every week, twice a month, whatever, they make it happen wherever it has to. McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, they were doing it wherever they had to. They were doing it in their home, but use what you have for your team. They had a chef, they had a massage, they had an esthetician, and they did things in their home with that. And I did do it with a massage person. I had more people coming to get that chair massage, but they kind of did it like a little spa and wellness because they did longer massages, they did things like that. And what they had started to do is do it consistently. They had a Terror Garden live every Friday, which they would do on Zoom. And they would gather their team to figure out the strategies. Should we do it every other Friday? You have to do what fits for your team. The other thing that they were doing with the events is that they, with COVID, they did cooking on Sunday evenings from like 5:30 to 6 every Sunday. They had someone come on and cook and do something on Zoom, so they all learned a new recipe. So it's another way to get people together. I love Sean Hopkins did say, sorry, whoever's talking about him, he talked about the scavenger hunt. Like just do a scavenger hunt with people. Start getting people back on Zoom because a lot of people are saying I'm zoomed out. Think about the kids. But the DMO that's on Freedom Revolution, just do it. Know what you're doing that day. Take the fear out of it. Of course, I looked at it, said 3-way call Zoom. I'm like, this is why I can't do the DMO because I can't do that every day. So give up the stories. Show up on calls, show up on events, show up at the Pajama Regional, show up at boot camps, the conference regionals. Just show up. You have to be in it to win it. If you're not showing up here, you're not hearing what you need to hear. And there are things that I've heard 5, 6, 7, 8 times in a month, and all of a sudden it sinks in. Block the time, be intentional with the time. Maybe you have to give up something in the morning. I can't call anyone at 5:30 in the morning, so I can most certainly go to CrossFit, but can I do something that I want to do in the morning later on in the afternoon? Take what she's told us, modify it to your team, but you have to stay vine ripened, she said. So you're taking those berries, stay vine ripened. And when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And who tells us that all the time? But Terry Luongo, right? So you have to do something every day. And I just want to give a little example. this woman who walks by my house every day in the summer because they have a beach cottage, and today she's walking with her friend. I'm like, and we're on our power hour, which was a power 2 hours, and they're walking. I was like, yeah, I should talk to them. I'm like, yeah, no. And I got up and I went out and talked to them. They're both teachers. They are doing the hybrid teaching. They want to look at the Tower Gardens. The woman, I mean, they're basically, these two people will probably be getting on Juice Plus, you know, and those were my two new people today. So you just have to, well, Terry, I sent you a Voxer on what we're doing, but we're all in and signed up for the Tom Newberry. So we've signed up for that. We're doing Jamie's core 30, and we're just putting the balls, can I say it without being politically incorrect? It's recording. We're just all in. So there's a bunch of us here, and it was just incredible. I mean, the whole thing, I wish I could talk forever on all of it, but Chandra really got me going. So that's it.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes, Stephanie, that's it. I don't want to say it on the
Just
recording.
said it. Balls to the wall, baby.
Okay, you'll say it.
Okay. Absolutely. Thank you, Pamelia. You are amazing. I love that you got up from your desk while you were on the power hour and that you went and introduced yourself to two new women. Now, guys, that's getting out of the boat. Absolutely. Woo, that's powerful. All right. Okay, we've only got about, oh my gosh, 8 more minutes. So Gina Lambert from Rhode Island really was inspired by Danny Martin. Are you there, Gina?
Oh, I'm here.
Oh yeah, there's
I'm
Gina.
here.
Okay, babe, take it away.
I will do my best to sum up my 3 full pages of notes in 5 minutes. Danny was phenomenal, of course, he always is. He started with knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is best. He said to pare down your notes from Pajama Regional, keep them in a short list that's always in front of you, and apply them on a daily basis to what you're doing. He said, build something that's on rocks, not sand. Learn the concepts. The concepts are the constant. The techniques are what vary. So if we have our constant concepts down, we can use different techniques to get us there. This is how we start building on rocks and not sand. He talked about his divorce and scrambling and working 70 and 80 hours a week as a grocery manager and looking for something else because he wanted to be a true father to his son. And out of nowhere, he got a phone call asking about Juice Plus. Never heard of it, never heard of the guy. Carrie Daigle was interested, got involved, made sense to him. And he said, who would have thought? I'm an uneducated grocery manager, and this guy out of nowhere comes and asks me this question. And the point to his story there was never prejudge when you ask someone to look at the business. You don't know what's in people's hearts. And that's huge because we all prejudge all the time, whether we mean to or not. If your reason or your why is just attached to money, that's not strong enough. It's not as powerful as what that money will afford you the opportunity for. So if the money is going to afford you the time freedom or the second home near family that you don't have, or whatever else in your life that you're looking for, that's where the power is. The power is what the money is going to afford you to do. He said this business broke the mold for his family. He referred to the song Cats in the Cradle, which is a beautiful song, and it's true for so many people if you've ever heard it. The father was always busy, never had time for his child, and when the child grew up, the child never had time for dad because that's what he had learned and that's the way he lived his life. He was so very, very happy that he had joined the business and that he could be there for his boys, to go to all the sporting events, to go to all the school events, the awards, everything. He was always a huge part of their lives. Identifying your why is huge. Identifying your why can be life-changing. Your why is going to constantly change throughout this process. What your why is when you begin is not what your why is going to be 5, 10, 15 years down the road, and it's supposed to be that way. You have to work with intention. You have to do these things every day on purpose with reason. You have to wake up every day with those intentions and get out of bed and do them even when you don't feel like it. You have to be consistent. You have to touch your business in some way every single day. It's like he equated it to going to the gym. It's like going to the gym. If you don't go to the gym one day because you don't feel like it, well, then the next day it's easier to not go to the gym because you didn't go yesterday. And that way you don't remain strong as a physical being. And if you do that with your business, it's easier to just not do your business, which happens to all of us. This was huge for me. He then said, we are all volunteer help in our business. We choose to be here. So much of what we do is just because we are servants at heart. So much of what we do is to help other people get to the point that we might even not be at yet, just because that's what we want for everybody. And that really touched me. I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher for 20 years. That's what I do, right? So it just made sense to me. And then he also said, we are all leaders. And we don't tell volunteers what to do. We ask them. We work together. It's our culture. It's one mission for all of us, whether it's your upline, your downline, your sideline, people that you've never met before that live on the other side of the country that have nothing to do with your business. We are all here working together to boost each other up. The only grass that's green is the grass that you water, which I'm sure we've heard before. High-paying activities. This was big too. High-paying activities. 3 things to do every single day. Have conversations, give invitations to people, and show presentations, only in that order. If you don't do it in that order, it doesn't work. Find out about people. You don't know how to start a conversation with people. His favorite pickup line is, are you from here? Because everybody likes to talk about themselves. Everyone's easy with answering that question, and then it builds into other questions, and that's where you start building that relationship right from the ground up. Once the conversations have started and you're learning a little bit about the person, you're going to catch tidbits here and there that you can then use for an invitation. Well, I heard you say, you started at this new gym. What about it do you love? What are you looking to get out of that? I have some information that you might be interested in. Would you be willing to take a look at it? So think of those trigger words in your conversations to then build in that invitation. Then once you've given the invitation, it's the presentation, and that comes in many forms. It can be the 3-way call. It can be sending a video or inviting them to an event that you have planned. But the key to this part is we should not be the presentation. We are not the person to give that presentation. We are to use a tool. There are so many tools for us to use. We pick a tool based on what we think they want or need or what they're looking for, and we use that tool to get them engaged. We get paid to build relationships. This is what we do in Juice Plus Company. We get paid to build relationships. We get paid to help others. It's not who you know or what you know, but who knows you. So the more you reach out to people, the more you build those relationships, the more people are going to refer back to you once you've built those relationships. Consumer to consumer marketing. He loved Jamie Cantrell's talk and kind of challenged her a little bit about it being a network marketing company, because it's a whole food company, consumer to consumer. We are a little different because of our very, very narrow product line, which I really liked. He said a bunch of other things, but the one other big thing that I want to mention is his donut story. He told a story about going to get donuts with his son and having this car block him in. And he prejudged, he thought this guy was a homeless man. He looked like a homeless man. His car looked like he lived in it. And the man got out. He saw that Danny had a Juice Plus sticker on his car. And he said, I don't know what you do or what you have to do with Juice Plus, but St. Jude saved my daughter's life. So thank you for whatever it is that you do. Talk about being a servant and having a servant's heart. That's what it's all about. And I'm going to stop there.
I love that story from Danny, not to prejudge, because that is so powerful. And I love that his marching orders were for you to take your notes, concise your notes, keep your notes in front of you, follow your notes, and you've done just that, Gina. So thank you very, very much. All right, guys, in 3 minutes, I'm going to wrap this up. We had an NMD call today. 16,000 new families came on board in June and July, specifically with our Healthy Starts for Families program. 16,000, it broke all records. 70% of these people said yes to adding the complete with the Add More Good program. This is our #1 program for retention. Always has been, always will be. We used to call it the Children's Health Study. Okay, it works, it retains customers. So this is what we have. Every single Thursday night, this team does some sort of a health lecture where we support this program. We talk about this program every Thursday night. Sonia, are you there that we can talk about really quickly what you've got going on this Thursday night?
Yes. Hi, everyone. So very quickly, we're really excited for this week. In keeping with the momentum of this amazing Add More Good campaign, we are going to talk about our Healthy Starts for Families and share stories and inspire and, do like a spin-off that Jen Saville, I'm sorry, not getting her name right, but that, 30-minute presentation. I've got 2 other great speakers with me. One is Jason Fowler, who's agreed to talk again, giving his story as an elite athlete, as a 2-time Ironman world champ, and as someone who trains young athletes. I think a lot of parents right now, they feel very lost. They don't know how to keep their kids going forward with their sports, with their school and education, and we have the answer. We have something that's going to help them keep their mind and their body strong. So he's going to share a powerful story. I'll share as being a mom of a cancer survivor and someone who's gone through endometriosis and used our Shred program to just feel vibrant health and pain-free. And then we have another mom who is mom of a high school student who as a kid suffered from asthma and allergies, and now he's the fastest runner at his school. He's on the track and field team. So we're really excited. I hope you will invite your friends, family, prospects, and even your customers to come here. Remind them why they're on our products.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Next Monday night, Dr. Pamela Benitez will be doing the team call. It's going to be 8 o'clock Central Time. All the teams are coming together for Pamela Benitez. On the 24th, we are going to continue recapping, and there will be a team incentive that will be announced for the last week of the month. And then on Monday night, the 31st, Jamie Cantrell, because she is being asked by every single team to do her program QSC on Purpose that she did at the Pajama Regional. It's going to be open to everybody on Monday night, the 31st. Be watching for that. Thank you for joining us tonight. You guys are a blessing. Let's get out of the boat. I love you. Peace and blessings. Thanks to everybody. You were amazing.